if you don't know the person, you have a relationship, but it's between you and what you imagine the other person is. It's not between you and the other person. It's kind of like if you are single and open ChatGPT, you have basically a long distance relationship. But the difference is like GPT answers every time. So think about that.
Welcome to our YouTube channel.
Hello. So today we were talking about long distance relationship because we saw like a lot of different commentaries about that, and we noticed we have like very different opinions. Would you be in a long distance relationship with me? That would be hard for me.
For me, as long as it's not too long, I think it's gonna work. At least for me, I know. But I know you. I know that might not be the case.
Yeah, I know like the physical thing, you know, to be present in the same space. So I can like survive, I don't know, 3 months. Unless like if there's like a real reason, like she has to go study, whatever, I can survive. But if there's no like real objective to wait, I die. I cannot take that, right?
Yeah, but I think I agree that with all other long distance relationships, I think you still have to kind of have a plan for the future.
Yeah, I will imagine there's some people that have this like romantic idea of like long distance relationship, and they don't really know the other person, and it's just like, yeah, one day we will meet and we will have something. And it's like you never met, or like it was only like online interaction, and then it becomes hard because one has their own lives, right? Each one has a different life, so it's like very hard. So I think it may work when you have like a very concrete plan. I will say if it's like this online thing, that it's like a gamble because you really don't know the other person. It's basically just what you imagine the other person is. So you can still go for it, but it's like you should like get real experience, like go there with that person and like live some time there or whatever. But yeah, I wouldn't say it's the best thing to do.
Yeah, I also wouldn't say that if you haven't met each other yet, I wouldn't say that's a real relationship yet. Yeah. But if it's like you guys already are in a relationship and then one of you had to go somewhere else, and then that to me it's more like a real long distance relationship because you already knew the person, you already like are in a relationship with that person, so it's a little bit different.
Yeah.
Do you think a long distance relationship work in general?
I think it's a moment that you have to go through in a way. Nobody prefers a long distance relationship. As long as I know, it's like, who does that? You know, it's like being on a diet. Nobody wants that. It's not like a real relationship in the sense of, oh yes, I'm going to have a long distance relationship. Like, who will say that? That doesn't make sense.
Yeah. I in my opinion, I think I have experience in long distance relationship, and like for at least like a year or something like that, and to me it worked at the time because you have a few things in place. Like first you have a plan, or you always try to come up with a plan and be like, oh, maybe we can meet each other in like 4 months or in like 6 months. Like you have like a destination that you are moving towards. And then second is like you have to have regular communication, because I feel like if you don't talk a lot, you already don't see each other and you don't talk a lot, it's gonna be super hard to maintain a relationship. And then the third thing I think is like you have to trust the other person, like no matter what. Speaking of this, when do you think someone should leave a long distance relationship?
Oh, I think you can feel it when the other person is not interested anymore. Like when you're trying to speak and the other person is like kind of like trying to get away, or like when they are just like not interested, you can tell. Maybe they are actually busy because of work or whatever, but you will know when they are trying to communicate, and it's like they send you pictures and they are like there waiting for the reply. Well, they trust your gut feeling. You can tell that the other person is not interested.
Yeah, I think it's a very important thing that you mentioned. Is like you if you're in a relationship, each of you have to be able to do something to maintain the relationship. But if you start to feel like the other person or your partner is not putting in any effort anymore, like he or she is not trying to text you, you're always the one who texts first, he or she is not initiating any calls or never do anything about it, and it's always just waiting for you to make the move, I feel like that's a indicator that the person is losing interest.
If I'm trying to talk with you and I feel you are like doing your own stuff, and it's like I need at least one conversation where I feel connected a week. That's like, it can be like a video call or whatever, where you feel that person is there entirely for you, and they are like completely paying attention to you, and you're like in need of connection, and the other person also needs that. It's not like one way. So if you don't do that for me, I will start to get more away, and at some point you don't speak for 2 weeks, and neither of the two care, but one is resentful. So for me, I need that.
Yeah, and actually, speaking of that, I feel like in the past when we had like a short long distance relationship, like for a short period of time, I did feel like
short long distance.
At some points I did feel like you're not like very interested, or like you're like not very like taking initiative to talk to me or to text me, and then I did raise that to you, right? I was like, you're not like talking to me, like it just made me feel like you know, like I don't hear from you, and it's very hard. These kind of moments are so hard, especially when you're away from each other, right? Yeah. Why is he not like texting me? Why is he like
she said feel
why is he not it's like, why is he missing?
And I was super into it, but we have different ways, different frequencies, so yeah, anyway, you have to talk about this.
Yeah, it's definitely a conversation you have to bring up to your partner, because at the time I felt that way and I brought it up to you, and then you did like try to like make better, like try to improve the frequency or whatever, like that you try to text me more, and then you try to send me more pictures and stuff like that. And I think that's very important, because sometimes it's like you're resentful that the person don't contact you and stuff like that, but you never really tell them, and then they keep doing the same thing, and then you keep being more resentful.
It's like you only have communication there. You don't have anything else. You cannot thank the relationship with gifts. You cannot thank the relationship with like, I don't know, physical touch. You have only communication. So if you're not a good communicator, feels go south.
By the way, gifts, you can do it though. Gifts, words of affirmations and quality time, kind of. You can do it through long distance relationship, but physical touch and what's the other one? Acts of service. Acts of service is a bit hard. I think these two are like harder to do without the person in front of you. Gifts, yeah, you can still like ask for like delivery and stuff like that.
So I will say that it's time to break up if you feel the other person is not interested. You say this, you voice out and you say this, and the other person still doesn't get the message. You say it the second time, the person doesn't get the message, and over this, on top of this, there's not a clear day where this is going to end and you're going to get together. Because if it's not working but you're going to get together in 3 weeks, 2 months, whatever, you can survive, I guess. But yeah, those are the two things that I need to have.
Yeah, I think as long as you feel like, oh, the person is not interested anymore, and you try to talk to that person and they still not like, they didn't change or anything, they didn't do anything to try to maintain the relationship, I think that's the time that you know you should quite quit. Yeah. So do you think, like somebody asked, like, is it normal to not talk every day in a long distance relationship?
Of course. That's like, yeah, there's like, for me, Like, I don't feel like we have a rule that says, yeah, we have to talk every day because if it doesn't happen, then there's no interest. And it doesn't work like that. Maybe that day you were sick, maybe that day you were tired, maybe you were with your friends, with your family, whatever. It doesn't make sense that you want these kind of like fixed rules because life is not like that rigid. I think you just have to have this idea of like interest in your mind, and then the frequency is completely up to the couple. Like you can talk once a week and it will be okay if that's working, if you see interest. uh, that's good. Like, even I will say more, speaking every day, it can be too much because it's like you need to let time for the interest to build up. If you have too much of anything, you start to take it for granted.
I think there's a distinction between talking and communicating. So yeah, I think talking, if you mean like, oh, do we need to do like video calls every day? That's like up to you. Like, some couples love to do that, some couples prefer not to do that. But communicating every day, I think it's very important. Like, in long distance relationship, you have to communicate every day. Doesn't mean that you have to call, you can just send a text. Like, you can, because the thing is like, you don't know where the other person is, what is he or she doing that day, and if he or she is not talking to you the whole day, I feel like is he dead? Is he not, like, what happened to him?
I'm living my life.
yeah, you can live your life, but can you not spend just 5 minutes to text me? I think that's very important. I think communication in a long distance relationship is the key. It's really like very crucial because it's very, very easy to lose feelings when you don't see the person and you don't talk to that person. I mean, as in communicating. So texting, to me, at least every day, and video call, I think you can do it like once a week.
And this is also why a long distance relationship can destroy relationships that were not long distance relationship. I think if you need controlling the other person to trust that person, or any of these unhealthy behaviors, when you go long distance and you don't have that anymore, the relationship like breaks. So yeah,
the distance, definitely, long distance relationship definitely is one of the toughest kind of relationships out there.
Yeah, it's not very, very different from not having relationship. It's kind of like if you are single and open ChatGPT, you have basically a long distance relationship. But the difference is like GPT answers every time. So think about that. The thing that makes it a real relationship is you being able to like actually at some point be with the person. So yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Do you think you were nervous
Yes.
to see me after like long distance relationship?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. It was, but I barely like imagine like it was like a few dates, and then I tried to Indonesia to see her. It was super random, and I was in the airport, and I remember I was waiting for her, and it was like I didn't even have the perfect image of her in my mind because I haven't seen her for like a month. It was like you feel like uncomfortable, and how I'm going to relate, like do I kiss her in the cheek, like all these like little things. So yeah, I'm a man and I still had this feeling when I was waiting for her.
Yeah, because I know on a lot of people's mind, they're like, I'm so nervous, like when I'm going to see my boyfriend, my girlfriend again, I feel so nervous, and is it normal to feel that nervous? And I just have to say that yes, it is totally normal to feel nervous when you reunite with your partner again.
Yeah.
So what do you think a successful long distance relationship should look like?
So for us, I will say like she has to go back, she has to travel with her family, or let's say something longer. She wants to like do like a career that takes 1 year. Right now I will travel with her probably because I like work remotely, so I will just do that. If I cannot do that for some reason, or like the place is super expensive and like we cannot do it, then I will say I will try to travel and see her every 3 months. Uh,
Yeah, I
I,
think every 3 months is good.
I think something like that, and try to talk every week. For me, like she needs more talking, but I'm okay with a week, like a video call, because I prefer like real connection, like least frequent than like text that can become a little like I don't know less connected and can replace the real video call. So anyhow, that's my point of view, and if it's more than a year, I don't know. It will start to be very hard for me. So
Yeah.
for me, yeah, it's like that. Like seeing in person every 3 months, if it's possible. If it's not possible, then having in your mind like, okay, I will see this person in a year. If it's more than a year, I don't know what to say. I will be honest.
Yeah, I think I think nowadays like it's easier for people to travel. So I think it shouldn't be a problem to like travel to see your partner or your partner travel to see you. Um, I feel like if you cannot even travel within a year, I think that can be a big problem. Like with the ease of traveling these days, like it's so easy to travel unless of course you're talking about like I don't know, like super far away country or
Argentina
something.
and Kuala Lumpur.
Yeah, even then, like it's a very like we're very far away from each other. He's from Argentina, I'm from Malaysia, and the travel time is like 30 plus hours. It's more than a day to travel, but still we try to make it happen, right? So we will still like make like we will even if we're in a long distance relationship, I feel like we will still try to make it happen. We'll try to fly to each other. Would you
Yeah.
say so?
Yeah, and we cheated because we basically traveled together. She came to Argentina. I went to Kuala Lumpur, and so we like cheated because we had this power of traveling together.
Yeah.
So that was our fix to the long distance relationship thing. But I understand not everybody can do that. So then you have to see what you can do. You have to play with your cards.
Yeah, I think it's also important to have like come to an agreement of like, oh, in the future I can try to go to your city and live with you, or you come to my city and live with me, or we will live in a middle city or something like that. Like have kind of like a end point kind of for when you are going to be together again. Because I think if you don't have that, it's very hard, very hard.
Yeah, and if you are not really sure about the relationship and you're just discussing about moving definitely and stuff, don't do that. Just take some holidays, go to where that other person is, spend 1 or 2 weeks with that person, live in the same place with that person, because you are going to probably do that unless you don't do it for some decision you make. Then you will have a really good sense of how things are going to be, and still you have to think that then you have like all the hype of the moment and all the novelty, and if it doesn't work well then that's like a big warning sign, and you shouldn't be like throwing everything out of the window and moving with this person before doing this test initially. So I think that's something to consider.
Yeah, we definitely don't recommend doing long distance relationship if you don't know yet the person. If you're like a couple for some time and then you have to go away or something, and then like that is okay. But if you don't know that person, like you met the person online, and then you're like, oh, like we're in a long distance relationship now, and you actually haven't met that person, and then you decide like, oh, I'm gonna quit my job and I'm gonna move to that person's city to be with that person. I think it's a big risk to take, so you need to, like you said, like before you make that big decision, try to go to meet the person first and then see like how things are. And even then I still feel like you have to be cautious, especially for girls and for women. Like you don't know you are actually like the person is actually real or not. Sometimes it's still hard. Like there's still possibility that you're talking to a scammer, you're talking to
Yeah.
somebody with bad intention. You don't know.
And even if that nothing of that happens, you don't know the person until you are in real life with that same person and you live real experiences with that person. You don't know the person at all. So the long distance relationship is between you and the fairy tale you have in your mind. It's not between you and the real person. So you have to have that into consideration, because if not, you are going to make a big mistake.
Yeah, a lot of people fall in love with the idea of the person instead of the person, and then when you meet with a person and you realize, oh, he or she is not the person that I actually want to be in a relationship with,
Yeah.
right? And reality and like ideal world is different sometimes.
Yes. For us, it worked, but yeah, we were a little lucky, I guess.
Yeah, but for us it's like we did actually went on a few days, and like we already kind of knew each other before we decided to like, hey, let's meet again somewhere and travel together, which is like, whoa, one of the like biggest decisions you have to make, because it's like I don't know.
Yeah, it was crazy.
Yeah.
So we met initially in Australia, like just traveling. We were like basically in holidays, and neither of us lived there. So at some point, she had to go away. We were dating for some time, like a couple of weeks, and she went away. And then we had to make the decisions, like, are we going to have like a long distance relationship? Like, what are we going to do? And so this is why this topic for us is like interesting as well.
Yeah, and I think we were also lucky in a way that the timing was right for us, because initially we were like, oh, maybe we couldn't see each other until 4 months later. Remember?
Why was that?
Because you say like you plan to quit your job like 4 months later, and then maybe you can like travel or something, but then you had to like you left your job earlier. Yeah, and then it was the time you'd be like, I guess it's the time, like it's the time we should meet.
Yeah.
And it was like about a month later, and then we decided like, oh sure, let's meet.
Like I had to leave my work and holiday visa in Australia. I had to left my job. Like all this kind of stuff. It's like it's
Everything
a big
happened.
decision.
Yeah, everything happened in its perfect timing, and then that's why we are here today. Oh, because I think if it's like 4 months later, I don't think it's gonna work. To be honest, I think it's not going to work, right?